Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am VC Pramod and with me is Nishit Kumar with the evening news. The headlines. Cabinet approves major reforms in natural gas marketing to push its usage in the country. Also clears the signing of a memorandum of cooperation in the field of cyber security between India and Japan. BJP seals alliance with Vikassheel Insan Party for upcoming Bihar Assembly elections. Nominations for the first phase closes tomorrow. Supreme Court says occupying public places for protests is not acceptable and such a space cannot be occupied indefinitely. COVID-19 recovery rate in the country touches the 85% mark. Air India announces next Vande Bharat flights from Gunzhou in China on the 23rd and 30th of this month. And in IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders take on Chennai Super Kings in Abu Dhabi. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a note of precaution to stay safe and stay protected by following these three simple steps. Wear face masks, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand hygiene and face hygiene. Now the news in detail. The government today gave nod to major reforms in the marketing of natural gas in the country. The cabinet, under the chairmanship of Prime Minister, approved the reforms to push the usage of natural gas. Briefing media in New Delhi, Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Dharmendra Pradhan said that the government will initiate standardized e-bidding for bringing transparency in the price of natural gas in the country. Railway Minister Piyush Goyal informed that the Cabinet has also given its approval for the revised estimate cost for the East-West corridor of the Kolkata Metro Rail project.
कलकत्ता में जो मेट्रो सबर्बन सर्विसेज चलती हैं, इसका एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण नया अलाइनमेंट ईस्ट वेस्ट मेट्रो कॉरिडोर के नाम से आज से लगभग 12 साल पहले अप्रूव हुआ था। 2015 में इस प्रोजेक्ट का काम फिर से शुरू किया। उसकी मंजूरी नए अलाइनमेंट के हिसाब से 8,575 करोड़ रुपए की लागत से ये प्रोजेक्ट को कंप्लीट करने के लिए कैबिनेट ने आज मंजूरी दी।
Mr. Goyal said that the project, with an estimated cost of nearly 8,575 crore rupees, will be open for the public by December 2021. He said the total route length of the East-West Metro corridor in Kolkata will be 16.6 kilometers and will have 12 stations. He said that the project will ease traffic congestion, enhance urban connectivity and provide cleaner mobility solutions to lakhs of daily commuters in Kolkata. The Cabinet also gave its approval for signing a Memorandum of Cooperation MOC in the field of cyber security between India and Japan. The MOC will enhance cooperation in areas of mutual interest, which includes capacity building in the areas of cyberspace, protection of critical infrastructure, cooperation in emerging technologies, sharing information on cyber security threats and malicious cyber activities. It will lead to development of joint mechanism for practical cooperation in order to mitigate cyber threats to the security of information communication technology infrastructure. Another MOU was signed between Zoological Survey of India and its Canadian counterpart on barcoding of faunal genomes.
जापान के साथ एक मेमोरेंडम ऑफ कोऑपरेशन सहयोग का करार हुआ है, जिसमें साइबर सिक्योरिटी के आपसी ज्ञान का लेन देन, टेक्नोलॉजी का लेन देन और बाकी सहयोग दोनों देशों में होगा। दूसरा एक एमओयू कनाडा के साथ हुआ है। भारत का जूलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया ZSI और कनाडा का वैसा ही जो संस्था है, उनमें बार कोडिंग ऑफ फॉनल जीनोम्स यानी प्राणियों के जीनोम की बार कोडिंग करने का एक समझौता हुआ है। अंत में रैटिफिकेशन ऑफ स्टॉकहोम कन्वेंशन ये भी हमने किया है। नए 7 केमिकल्स को जो हेल्थ के और एनवायरमेंट के लिए हजार्डस है, ऐसे केमिकल्स को बंद किया है।
The Cabinet also approved the ratification of 7 chemicals listed under Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants, POPs. The Cabinet further delegated its powers to ratify chemicals under the Stockholm Convention to Union Ministers of External Affairs and Environment, Forest and Climate Change with regard to POPs already regulated under the domestic regulations, thereby streamlining the procedure. The Stockholm Convention is a global treaty to protect human health and environment from POPs, which are identified chemical substances that persist in the environment, bioaccumulate in living organisms, adversely affect human health, and have the property of long-range environmental transport. The Union Cabinet today congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi for entering in the 20th consecutive year as an elected head of a government. INB Minister Prakash Javadekar said Mr. Modi brought reforms in governance, reforms in major sectors, and gave a corruption-free government. He said Prime Minister raised the standard of living of poor people and deprived sections.
बैठक में मंत्रिमंडल ने लोकतंत्र में लगातार 20 वर्ष सरकार के प्रमुख रहने पर प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का अभिनंदन किया। 20 साल में मोदी जी ने सामान्य लोगों के जीवन का स्तर बढ़ाया। आवास, बिजली, गैस, टॉयलेट, टीका, आयुष्मान भारत, बैंक खाता, पानी आदि अनेक सुविधाओं आखिरी व्यक्ति तक पहुंचाई। लोक कल्याण का नया मार्ग प्रशस्त किया।
The government today said that Kharif marketing season 2020-21 has started early this year and it began from the 26th of September. Briefing media, Secretary Food and Public Distribution Sudhanshu Pandey said procurement of paddy so far is 23% more than procurement in the corresponding period last year. Mr. Pandey said 39,130 procurement centres have been opened this year to facilitate farmers. He said 1.40 lakh crore rupees are expected to be transferred to farmers, which is an increase of nearly 21% during this Kharif marketing season as compared to last year. Agriculture Secretary Sanjay Agrawal informed that a record 1,095 lakh hectare area was brought under the Kharif crops coverage this year, which is 10 lakh hectare more than the last year. He said sowing of pulses is higher by nearly 7 lakh hectare, oilseeds by 18 lakh hectare and rice by 4 lakh hectare than the normal area coverage under Kharif crops. Chairman Food Corporation of India, FCI, D.V. Prasad informed that FCI and state agencies are fully prepared for paddy procurement operations. Mr. Prasad said this year's paddy procurement target is 497 lakh metric tons, which is 18% growth over the last year's procurement. He said over 1 crore 56 lakh farmers are expected to be benefited with this operation. Textile Secretary Ravi Kapoor said a record procurement of 105 lakh bales of cotton valuing 28,500 crore rupees was made during 2019-20. He also informed that during COVID period, procurement of cotton bales worth nearly 5,600 crore rupees was made, which is double than the procurement made during the last year. Gujarat government has announced purchase of agriculture products like paddy, maize, bajra, moong and soya bean at the minimum support price MSP. According to a decision taken in the State Cabinet today, paddy will be purchased at a price of 1,869 rupees per quintal, maize 1,850 rupees, bajra 2,150 rupees, moong 7,196 rupees, urad 6,000 rupees and soya bean 3,880 rupees. Online registration for paddy, maize and bajra will be available till the 29th of October, while purchase will begin from 16th of October. For Bihar Assembly elections, the BJP has formally announced alliance with Mukesh Sahani-led Vikashsheel Insan Party, VIP. In a joint press conference in Patna, the state BJP President Sanjay Jaiswal said that the party has decided to allot 11 assembly seats for VIP from its quota. Meanwhile, political activities has gained momentum in 71 assembly constituencies going to polls in the first phase on 28th of October. Filing of nomination has gained momentum as tomorrow is the last day for filing of nominations. BJP today released its list of 27 candidates for the first phase. The ruling JDU announced the list of all 115 candidates for the three-phase assembly elections. The party has got 122 seats in the seat-sharing deal with the BJP. Out of 122, the JDU has allotted 7 seats to its ally, Hindustani Awam Morcha, HAM. More from our correspondent.
JDU has fielded Speaker Vijay Kumar Chaudhary from Sarai Ranjan Assembly constituency of Samastipur district. Gupteswar Pandey, the former DGP of Bihar, who recently took early retirement from Indian Police Service for joining JDU, has failed to secure his name in party's comprehensive list. The wind of politics has changed for several leaders in this election. Hardcore opponent of RJD chief Lalu Prasad and sitting MLA Anand Singh is now in RJD. He will contest from Mokama Assembly seat in Patna district. Deprived of party ticket, the former senior BJP leader and party state vice president Rajendra Singh has joined hands with LJP to contest elections. To secure their seats, several parties including JDU, RJD, Congress and BJP has given large number of seats to relatives of their party leaders. Dharmendra Kumar Rai, AIR News, Patna.
In Tamil Nadu, the ruling AIADMK has announced the incumbent Edappadi Palanisamy as the chief ministerial candidate for the 2021 assembly elections. The major announcement was made by the party coordinator O. Paneerselvam in Chennai today. An 11-member steering committee to look after the party affairs has also been unveiled. BJP leader Anurag Thakur today kick-started the Leh Hill Council General Council election campaign of his party in Ladakh today. He flagged off campaign vehicles from Ladakh BJP office. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Thakur listed several development projects sanctioned to Ladakh region in the last 6 years of the Modi government at the centre. He said during COVID-19 pandemic, India took up the Herculean task of evacuating Indians from various countries. Referring to the empowerment of Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Councils, Mr. Thakur said, after carving out the Union Territory of Ladakh, unprecedented and non-lapsable funds have been sanctioned for the development of the region.
जब मोदी जी लेह लद्दाख का सपना पूरा करते हैं, यूनियन टेरिटरी बनाते हैं, जब मोदी जी आपकी ग्रांट को 5 गुना विकास के लिए बढ़ाते हैं, जब मोदी जी आपका बजट हजारों करोड़ रुपए का कर देते हैं, तो अब लेह लद्दाख के लोगों की जिम्मेदारी आती है कि एक भेंट स्वरूप जब वोट पड़े तो पूरे लेह लद्दाख की हर सीट नरेंद्र मोदी जी के साथ ये पूरे क्षेत्र के लोग खड़े हो जाएं और कहें कि पूरा क्षेत्र मोदी जी के साथ खड़ा है. देश की डेवलपमेंट और लद्दाख की डेवलपमेंट हम मोदी जी के साथ मिलकर करेंगे.
Mr. Thakur said it's only the BJP that valued the public sentiments for UT status to Ladakh and will consider all aspirations of Ladakh in future as well. Ladakh BJP President Jamyang Sering Namgyal was also present on the occasion. The Supreme Court has said that occupying public places for protests is not acceptable and such a space cannot be occupied indefinitely. The top court's verdict came on a plea against the Anti-Citizenship Amendment Act protests which had led to blocking of a road in Shaheen Bagh in the national capital last December. A bench headed by Justice S.K. Kaul said that public places cannot be occupied indefinitely like during the Shaheen Bagh protests. The bench also said that Delhi police ought to have taken action to clear Shaheen Bagh area from the protesters.
The government has said that COVID-19 recovery rate in the country has crossed 85% with more than 82,000 patients recovering in the last 24 hours. The Health Minister said total number of recoveries has now reached over 57,44,000. The high rate of recoveries has positioned India as the top country in the world with maximum number of recovered cases. The constantly increasing recovery rate ensured that the actual caseload of the country is reduced considerably and currently comprises only 13.44% of the total positive cases. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 907,000 and the case fatality rate stands at 1.55%, which is one of the lowest globally. Kerala reported very high surge in COVID cases as it confirmed 10,606 new COVID cases today.
4 districts reported over 1,000 COVID cases today: Kozhikode, Ernakulam, Malappuram and Thiruvananthapuram. Among the new cases, 98 health workers tested positive today. 22 more deaths were confirmed due to COVID, taking the death toll to 906 in the state. Meanwhile, the state also registered highest single-day recovery as 6,151 persons cured from the infection today. The total active COVID cases in Kerala rose to 92,161. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
In Manipur, 2 persons died due to COVID-19 in the past 24 hours, increasing the total fatality due to the pandemic in the state to 80. On the other hand, 249 people were confirmed as new COVID-19 positive cases in the past 24 hours. With this, the total count of positive cases rose to 12,489 in the state. 122 persons were discharged in the past 24 hours in the state and the recovery rate is 76.89%. So far, 9,604 persons have recovered and the number of active cases stands at 2,805. Meanwhile, state government procured 40,000 rapid antigen test kits to to enhance the COVID-19 testing capacity in the state.
In Meghalaya, 122 new COVID-19 cases were reported today, taking the number of total active cases to 2,411. 88 persons recovered in the state in the last 24 hours, bringing the number of total recovered patients to 4,694. So far, the total number of confirmed cases in the state are 7,165, with 60 people having died of the disease. Olympic medalist wrestler Sushil Kumar has appealed people to wear face masks and follow social distancing whenever they step out of their homes to check the spread of COVID-19. Talking to AIR News, Sushil Kumar also urged people to follow government guidelines on COVID.
मैं सुशील कुमार रेसलर ओलंपिक मेडलिस्ट आप सब से अपील करता हूं कि आप जब भी घरों से बाहर निकलें मास्क लगा के रखें और उचित दूरी बना के रखें। तो ये कोविड में गाइडलाइन भारत सरकार से मिली हुई है। बार बार हाथ धोएं और एक दूसरे की मदद करें। मेरी आप सब से गुजारिश है कि अपनी सोसाइटी को ठीक ठाक रखें।
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Cabinet approves major reforms in the natural gas marketing to push its usage in the country. Also clears the signing of a memorandum of cooperation in the field of cybersecurity between India and Japan. BJP seals alliance with Vikassheel Insan Party for the upcoming Bihar Assembly elections. Nominations for the first phase closes tomorrow. Supreme Court says occupying public places for protests is not acceptable and such a space cannot be occupied indefinitely. COVID-19 recovery rate in the country touches the 85% mark. Air India announces next one-day Bharat flights from Guangzhou in China on the 23rd and 30th of this month. And in IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders take on Chennai Super Kings in Abu Dhabi. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki doori to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will launch a campaign on Jan Andolan for COVID-19 appropriate behavior tomorrow on Twitter. The campaign will be launched in view of the upcoming festivals and winter season as well as the opening up of the economy. The campaign will be launched with the aim to encourage people's participation Jan Andolan. It endeavors to be a low-cost, high-intensity campaign with the high key messages of the wear mask, follow physical distancing, maintain hand hygiene. During the launch of COVID-19 pledge will also be taken by all. The Indian Railway Catering and Tourism Corporation IRCTC has said it will restart the Tejas Express on the Lucknow-New Delhi and Ahmedabad-Mumbai route from the 17th of this month. The corporation said in a statement that the operation of these 2 trains was suspended from the 19th of March due to spread of COVID-19 pandemic. It said initially every alternate seat will be kept vacant to follow the social distancing norms. A standard operating procedure in view of the COVID-19 pandemic has been issued to ensure safety of passengers. One-seated passengers will not be allowed to exchange their seats. All travellers will have to install Arogya Setu app.
Air India will operate its next Vande Bharat flights to China on Guangzhou to Delhi sector on 23rd and 30th of October. This will be a big relief for Indian nationals stranded in China who want to return home due to compelling reasons. Indian Embassy in Beijing in a notification yesterday advised Indian nationals to register with the embassy or the consulates to avail any of these flights. Last month, China allowed entry of certain categories of foreigners which enabled Indian employees of multinational companies to return to China. However, China has not yet cleared the decks for entry of foreign students to China. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held bilateral meetings with his Japanese and Australian counterparts in Tokyo today. During the 13th India-Japan Foreign Ministers Strategic Dialogue, progress made in India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership was reviewed. Dr. Jaishankar and Japan's Foreign Minister Toshimitsu also discussed maritime security, trade and investment, manufacturing, skill development, connectivity and infrastructure, health and wellness, Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative and UN reforms. In a series of tweets, the External Affairs Minister said a special partnership between India and Japan can make a big difference in post-COVID recovery. He said the 2 countries' shared commitment can help realize stability, security and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific. Both the ministers also welcomed the finalization of the text of cybersecurity agreement. With Foreign Minister of Australia, Marise Payne, Dr. Jaishankar reviewed the progress in the bilateral ties after the virtual summit between Prime Ministers of India and Australia. They also discussed expanding the cooperation in global affairs and regional issues.
French scientists Emmanuel Charpentier and American Jennifer A. Doudna have won the 2020 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for developing a method of genome editing likened to molecular scissors. This tool offers the promise of curing genetic diseases. On announcing the prize, the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences said that the scientists have discovered one of gene technology's sharpest tools, the CRISPR-Cas9 genetic scissors. It added that this technology has not only revolutionized basic science, but also resulted in innovative crops and will lead to groundbreaking new medical treatments. With schools still shut and classroom education still out of bounds, the educators are developing various methods to help students to complete their syllabus for the academic year well in time. Although online education is stressed upon by many, but for children living in remotest corners, it is a distant dream. In one such instance, in Nandurbar district of Maharashtra, teachers have been reaching out to their students who are residing in tribal hamlets. Our Mumbai correspondent brings you more in this report.
With an aim to stop school dropout rate among children from the tribal community, a group of 4 teachers from Kale Khetpada, a hamlet in Nandurbar district, have come forward to impart education to their pupils. These teachers climb up to the crest of the hill or a swelling ground where the children take their livestock to graze. The students assemble at their designated spot after the teacher blows a distinctive whistle. The locals call it Tekdi Shala, which means school on the crest of the hill. These teachers help clarify the doubts of their students and assign them homework for the next 3 days. The noble cause by these teachers were taken after they noticed that online education is not possible for these children due to weak internet connectivity and has been hampering the education. With Nilesh Pawar from Nandurbar, this is Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
15 firms, including L&T Infrastructure Development Projects Limited, IRCTC, BHEL, GMR Highways and Gateway Rail Freight Limited have applied for the private participation in the operation of passenger train services across 12 clusters in the country. In a media statement released today, Railway Minister has said that the overall 120 applications have been received for the 12 clusters from 15 applicant firms. The ministry had invited requests for qualifications RFQ for private participation in operation of passenger train services over 12 clusters. These clusters comprise of 140 origin destinations, pair of routes on which 151 modern trains will be introduced to increase the high-quality trains operated on the network. This is the first major initiative of attracting private investment for running passenger trains over the Indian railway network. Union Minister of Railways and Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal has said that trade and economy are one of the most important pillars of India-European Union partnership. Addressing the diplomatic and industry leadership session on EU-India collaborative economic growth today, he said India is also hopeful of working with the EU towards a free trade agreement, for which he suggested a preferential trade agreement may be inked in a near future. Mr. Goyal said that under the able guidance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India and EU have furthered the relationship across the European Union.
In IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders have won the toss and chosen to bat against Chennai Super Kings in Abu Dhabi. They were 120 for 4 in 14.3 overs when reports last came in. In yesterday's match, Mumbai Indians beat Rajasthan Royals by 57 runs in Abu Dhabi. Jasprit Bumrah's 4-wicket haul and Surya Kumar Yadav's unbeaten 79 were the highlights of the Mumbai Indians win. This victory helped them to reclaim the top spot on the points table. In the French Open tennis, Petra Kvitova, Iga Swiatek, Sofia Kenin and Nadia Podoroska have booked their berths for the women's singles semi-finals. While two-time Wimbledon champion Petra Kvitova beat Laura Siegemund 6-3, 6-3 in the quarterfinals today, unseeded Iga Swiatek defeated Martina Trevisan 6-3, 6-1. In the third quarterfinal today, Australian Open champion Sofia Kenin thrashed unseeded Danielle Collins 6-4, 4-6, 6-0. In the first quarter-final, yesterday, Nadia Podoroska defeated Elena Svitolina of 6-2, 6-4. In men's singles, Rafael Nadal defeated Italian rising star Yannick Sinner 7-6, 6-4, 6-1 yesterday. In another quarter-final match, Argentina's Diogo Schwartzman outlasted third-seeded Dominic Thiem 7-6, 5-7, 6-7, 7-6, 7-2. Another quarter-final match between A. Rublev and S. Tsitsipas is now underway. Later today, top-seeded Novak Djokovic takes on P. Jareno Busta of Spain.
Equity benchmarks today extended gains for the fifth straight session amid mixed global cues. The BSE Sensex gained 304 points to settle at 39,879. A report from the business world.
After opening on a weak note, the 30-share BSE Sensex gained ground to end 304 points higher at 39,879. Similarly, the broader NSE Nifty jumped 76 points to close at 11,739. On the other hand, the broader market at the BSE today declined, underperforming the Sensex. The BSE Mid-Cap Index fell 0.61% and the BSE Small Cap Index slipped 0.4%. Snapping its two-day losing streak, the rupee today strengthened by 13 paise to settle at 73 rupees and 33 paise against the US dollar. An intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading around $41.90 per barrel, while WTI crude prices were around $39.90 per barrel. V. Ravi Kumar for AIR News.
The Delhi government has allowed reopening of cinemas, theatres and multiplexes with up to 50% of their seating capacity from the 15th of October. According to an order issued by the Delhi Disaster Management Authority (DDMA), such establishments will remain closed in COVID-19 containment zones in the city. Taken to Twitter, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal said that cinema halls will be allowed to reopen from 15th of October and they will have to follow all guidelines issued by the central government. The DDMA also allowed all weekly markets to function with immediate effect. Until now, only 2 such markets were being allowed in every municipal zone every day.
Now, let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will have mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature is expected to be around 19 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 36 degrees. In Mumbai, there will be partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature will be around 27 degrees Celsius and the maximum could settle at 33 degrees. Chennai and Kolkata will also have partly cloudy sky. In Chennai, the temperature will hover between 27 and 37 degrees Celsius. And in Kolkata, minimum temperature will be around 27 degrees Celsius, while the maximum around 33 degrees. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature in Jammu will be around 19 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 35 degrees. The city will have mainly clear sky. Srinagar and Leh will also have mainly clear sky, while the temperature in Srinagar will hover between 5 and 27 degrees Celsius. Leh will have minimum temperature at around -1 degree Celsius and the maximum will be around 23 degrees. Gilgit will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The temperature will hover between 7 and 30 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, there will be mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature will be around 11 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 31 degrees. Chandigarh will have mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature will be around 10 degrees Celsius and the maximum around 35 degrees. Ahmedabad will have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 25 and 37 degrees Celsius. Hyderabad will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature will be around 24 degrees Celsius and the maximum could go up to 28 degrees. Guwahati will observe generally cloudy sky with light rain. Minimum temperature in the city will be around 25 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees.
And now, before we close, the headlines once again. Cabinet approves major reforms in natural gas marketing to push its usage in the country. Also clears the signing of a memorandum of cooperation in the field of cyber security between India and Japan. BJP seals alliance with Vikashsheel Insan Party for upcoming Bihar Assembly elections. Nominations for the first phase closes tomorrow. Supreme Court says occupying public places for protests is not acceptable and such a space cannot be occupied indefinitely. COVID-19 recovery rate in the country touches the 85% mark. Air India announces next Vande Bharat flights from Guangzhou in China on the 23rd and 30th of this month. And in IPL cricket, Kolkata Knight Riders take on Chennai Super Kings in Abu Dhabi. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And that's all in the evening news. Good night.